Welcome to the Plant Trainers Podcast, where we're helping people improve their quality of life through nutrition and fitness. And now, your hosts, nutrition and wellness coaches, international speakers, Adam and Shoshana Chaim.
Hey, I'm Adam Chaim.
And I'm Shoshana Chaim, and we are Propelled by Plants.
Today we bring to you episode 369, The Plantpower Way with Rich Roll and Julie Piatt.
In this episode of the Plant Trainers Podcast, we wanted to bring up an oldie but a goodie. Why are we doing that? Well, as you most probably know, in the summers we need a little bit of downtime. For those of you that only joined us in the last few months or years, you would not have heard these yet, and we know that there's so much that you could learn from them. And for those of you who have heard them before, you know how it is when you listen to something the second time round. You're ready for new inspiration, new information, and you for sure pick up new things.
So enjoy this episode. We'll be back very soon with fresh new content. In the meantime, be active, stay safe, and come join the conversation at Plant Trainers on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter.
Just wanted to pop in here and remind you about our Easy Recipes for Busy Parents e-cookbook, where we help you to really get meals done for a whole week. Make sure that we overlap ingredients so that you don't have to go out buying a crazy amount of ingredients that you're never going to use again. And the recipes are pretty simple, and children aren't scared of them when they're trying them out for the first time. So if you want to get that, you could click the link in the show notes or pop over to planttrainers.com/shop and check out our Easy Recipe for Busy Parents cookbook.
And now for a moment of gratitude.
This is a time in the show where we normally share our moment of gratitude with you, but because we've put them up early to take a little bit of a vacation, we are going to encourage you to think about your moment of gratitude. So we're here today with Rich Roll and Julie Piatt. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great.
Awesome. So nice to be with you guys.
Thanks for inviting us on.
Well, welcome to the Plant Trainers Podcast. And I want to start by saying how grateful I am for the two of you for not only being on our show, but for being a true inspiration to me personally. And you've been really mentors and role models for me over the past few years. And ever since I've listened to podcast episode 1 of the Rich Roll podcast, when you guys were in Kauai in those yurts. And there's just so much inspiration that I've gotten from your show, from you both personally. And I really wanted to thank you for that.
Oh, that's sweet.
Super nice. Thank you so much. It's been great getting to know you guys a little bit. I remember when we first met at the Toronto Veg Fest, and then we got together and had dinner the following year.
Yeah, what was amazing?
It's pretty cool.
It was amazing for me when I first saw you that day at the Veg Fest. You knew who I was, just like that, because my bike had been stolen. You knew my story,
right?
But it was impressive.
Yeah.
It was really impressive that you were able to nail who I was right on the spot.
And
I also know that you never got that bike back.
That's right.
Well, insurance got him a new one.
That's right. But I'm still riding.
So today I'm grateful for people, and we talk a lot on this podcast about surrounding ourselves with good people, with people who have like-minded ideas and people who are going to inspire us, and kind of shedding the negative and really bringing the positive into our lives. And this is something that we maybe always knew, but we started to actively pursue about a year and a half ago. And we were able to spend time with you guys. We went for dinner, and really a lot of great things started to happen after that, after we had so many great conversations and more great people had begun to trickle into our lives. So I'm really grateful for the great people around us, and I contribute a little bit of that to you guys as well.
Beautiful.
Oh, thanks for sharing that.
No problem.
Happy to be a small part of the inspiration of your amazing transformation.
Thanks. And do you guys have a moment of gratitude that you'd like to share with us and our listeners?
Could we do, well, Julie, why don't you share, and then I'll share after you.
You're going to share after me? Okay. So yeah, a moment of gratitude. Let's see. I'm just extremely grateful that we live in California, and that I am able to go to the farmer's market twice a week and experience all this amazing healing plant food, and that I'm very aware that it doesn't exist in all regions on the planet. And so I'm extremely grateful to be able to connect with the plants in that way.
I have a 2-part answer, if you can indulge me. And the first part is, it just so happens that that just at the moment when you said we were going to be sharing a little bit of gratitude, I was turning my phone off, but I caught a tweet by this guy who created a parody account for me. I don't know if you know about this guy. He's called Rich Roll, and it's ROLE on Twitter. No. And he's always making fun of me, but he just tweeted his gratitude list, so I thought I would read his. And he says, tonight's gratitude list: skipping, dude's name Ben, deep V-necks, tea, Mr. T, cacao, good hair days, thesauruses, and lemurs. So that's what he thinks that I'm grateful for. And now I'm going to share actually what I am truly grateful for, which is I'm grateful to be here talking to you guys right now. And I think that it's emblematic of a greater gratitude to just be, living in this day and age where we have these amazing tools where we can spread a healthy message across the world by simply opening our mouth. And I feel very grateful and privileged to be in a place where I'm able to engage something that I'm passionate about and try to use that responsibly to help people. And talking to, couples like yourselves who are on the same wavelength and are, doing the same thing is extremely gratifying and meaningful to me. So I'm grateful to be here talking to you tonight.
I'm sure our listeners are familiar with the Plantpower Way. Tell us a little bit about the book and the journey you've taken with it.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for asking. Julie, why don't you want to kick that off?
Well, the Plantpower Way is a lifestyle guide and sort of aspirational, inspirational lifestyle guide, and also over 120 recipes that are plant-based, which means they're dairy-free, animal product-free, and they are the very recipes that have fueled our family through our transformation into living a completely plant-based lifestyle. So originally, I started cooking with the intention and the purpose of actually feeding Rich when I discovered that he was doing these very, very long training sessions and preparing for the double Ironman races that he does on Hawaii called Ultraman. There was kind of a point in our relationship where I realized that usually I just see him go out the door and then he'd just come back 8 hours later and I'd hand him a child and say, okay, it's my turn. I'm going to go, play music or, do something that I want to do.
I hear you.
And then, one day then he said to me, you realize that, I just ran a marathon, and I actually hadn't even realized any of that, not a 1% of that. So when he told me that, it kind of gave me pause, and I thought, wow, this guy is really putting a lot of effort into actualizing this dream. And I could really be of service to him if I really focused on trying to feed him foods that would nourish him and replenish his body after, putting in such long training hours. So it started as that. It became an evolution. The kids got involved, and, this is how the Plantpower Way actually came to be.
It's very much, Finding Ultra, which was my first book that preceded this, was very much, memoir. It was my story. And it certainly, included the family, but it was very focused on, things that I had done. And that book contained plenty of sort of nutritional baseline information. But, what happened was people read that book and they said, I love the book. I'm inspired. I want to get going. But what do I eat? Right. So, the logical sort of next step was, well, let's answer that question. We can answer that question, and we can do it in a very authentic way. And we can use it as an opportunity to tell our family story, to expand, outside of my personal story, to really, sort of shed light on how we've done this all together. And so what, usually when somebody kind of in the health world writes a cookbook, oftentimes they have to find a chef to partner with because they're not a chef. But, luckily I have Julie, who's very gifted in the kitchen. And these are all the recipes that really kind of organically grew out of this thing that we've all undertaken together. So it's very much, true to our story. And these are the recipes that, we eat every day and we live on. So it's not like we've artificially concocted something to kind of just put something out there. It really is like a glimpse into how we live our lives on a daily basis.
And we're very privileged to have been able to take a look at the book, take a peek at the book before talking to you today. And I just wanted to say it is such a beautiful piece of art. It's more than just a book. And you're right. It's not just recipes. It's about lifestyle. You could have named it the Ultraman diet, or other people name it, the anti-inflammatory diet or whatever. But it's not a book about a diet, a way to eat. It's about a lifestyle.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, that's really the power and really the truth in living a conscious, spiritual, self-sustainable life. And, we say in the book, and that it's an evolution revolution. So it's a living organism. It's moving and changing and, shifting depending on the family members and, where people are in their journey along the way. And, it's not a diet. It's a decision that you make. It's a choice that you make every time you eat, and really extends also out into other areas of your life. How you start recognizing that, the food choices that you're making are impacting, your community and the planet and, our animals. And so it's a process. It's an evolution revolution, and it's moving, and, it's a moving entity.
I think it's very fitting that we have Earth Day this week as well, and the timing of all this coming out is very well timed. By the way,
we didn't plan that, but it actually is very good timing.
Yeah, by the way, Rich, I was probably one of those people that tweeted you when I read Finding Ultra about your diet.
Oh, good. Well, did I respond?
Well, the book is fantastic. I mean, there's so much in there talking about great recipes. But you know what I liked the most about it was the pictures of the family and how you seem to have everybody involved and everybody had to play a part in putting this book together. Were the kids involved in developing the book, or were they just in the pictures?
Yeah, I mean they are involved. They've been involved, and obviously, we couldn't have done this book without them being participatory and open to the idea. And that's kind of how we roll. It's we're this sort of tribe of sort of this loosely knit tribe of merry pranksters that, are all trying to support each other in our various creative endeavors. So right now, our two oldest sons and our nephew are in the garage, which was painted yesterday, and they're building out their studio to record their first album. And so when we completed production on the cookbook, our family energy shifted to trying to figure out how to support them in getting their, creative product done. And we just kind of ebb and flow with that. At one point in time, it was supporting me in the Ultraman races. And then Julie recorded 2 records, and Mathis started a fashion line. And we kind of come together as a unit to try to figure out how we can support each other. And so the book could not have happened without everybody, being a willing participant in it. And that doesn't mean that it doesn't get tricky when you're trying to photograph kids, it's a process. And we were very lucky in finding a great photographer. I mean, all the family photographs are all very editorial. It's almost like a behind the scenes, with a few exceptions that are more kind of like staged. But for the most part, it's just a glimpse into, us living our lives. And we had done something for an Australian magazine a couple of years ago, and there was a young photographer who came to our house that our kids just immediately took a liking to. He just had great energy, and his main gig is that he shoots rock bands. He's on tour, going to Lollapalooza and all these places, and traveling around with rock and roll people, and he photographs them. But our kids just loved him so much that when it came time to the production aspect of the book, we knew that we wanted to hire him to do it, because it's important that your kids feel comfortable in front of the camera. And that makes the difference between a great photograph and something that just feels stale.
Yeah, and his name is, by the way, Maclay Harriott, and he's an Australian photographer, and he's a big, big part of the aesthetic of the book. And without him, it wouldn't be what it is, just because what Rich said, the girls and the boys, they loved being around him, and he became a part of our family when he came to shoot us. And he shot 3 different times to get all the lifestyle images.
A lot of the times you look at a book like that and you're reading the recipes and you're making them. When I opened that PDF that you sent me, thank you, by the way, for the first time, and I started going through it, I actually felt like I was in your home with you. Like, I got that feeling that I was a part of the house and the kitchen and the family, and it really gave me that warm feeling. Did you get that? I don't.
Well, when you first looked at it, I was in the kitchen and you were like, shush, wait till you see this. You've got to see this. And all I hear are the kids saying, Mommy, look at that. And Daddy, what's this? And look at that girl. And the kids were all into it too. Our kids were very, very taken by the book.
I'm telling you, when I opened the PDF, it was an experience that we had on the spot with the kids. It was great. Like, I can't wait to get my hands on the hard copy.
And sometimes
cool.
I have to admit, instead of looking at the recipes, I was looking at what you were wearing. Like, you were wearing...
Is that me or Rich? Well, thank you.
I like Rich's shirts too, but what you were wearing was absolutely wonderful. And I wanted to know, did Mathis design any of that, or was that all just part of your wardrobe already before we get into some deeper stuff?
I think there's a couple items, I actually shop a lot of vintage. So some of the stuff was vintage, some of the stuff is Free People, and some of the stuff is Mathis. I'm really pleased. I'm really touched that you had that feeling when you looked at the book. And, Rich and I always say that, if you guys were here, we had dinner in New York, but if you guys were here, we would have you up to our house and we would have a lot of amazing food, and there would be a lot of creativity going on, and someone would be playing music and someone would be painting, and there's like a lot of this kind of creative chaos that's happening. It would be an experience. And that was sort of our intention and our wish for the book, was that you would feel like we actually invited you to come into our home and have a seat at our family table and really feel, that that's how we live. And it's funny because our agent came out, Bird Level, and he came and I made this big spread, on a Saturday for farmers market, and he had such an amazing time, and the boys played a set for him afterwards, and he was just so amazed because we were all actually sitting around the table and eating and discussing, and all the kids were involved. And he said, I feel like I want to call the publisher and go, it's true, they really do live this way. So anyway, I'm so grateful that the book looks that way, and it's really, really gratifying to hear that was your experience.
And I think it's a really important message to a lot of families out there. I mean, we're lucky that we sit down as a family every night for dinner. All four of us, or whoever else is here, we're sitting down and we're eating together. It's not that one person's at soccer and we're all eating at different times. So is that something? I mean, I know Rich travels a lot, but how busy are you guys at dinner time? Are you together a lot at dinner time? Because I think it's really important for American, Canadian, North American families to any family to be able to set that example for children and have a positive, loving relationship with food and with each other at the same time.
No, I think it's imperative, and I think it's one of the key ways to actually transform your life and to experience, a meaningful connection with your children. There's so much that happens around food. And so I would say that it's not, no 2 days of ours are ever the same because we have so many creative types and we're all going in different directions. But I will say that as a collective, we cook frequently together. So there's 2 or 3 of us in the kitchen preparing and, involved. We take our children to the farmer's market. So we're very connected to food. And so it depends on Rich's schedule. It depends on what we're all doing. But I would say that at any given day, there might be 3/4 of us sitting around to eat a meal that we prepared. We don't buy takeout food as a rule. It's kind of a very, occasional thing that we do. So yeah, I think we really do. And usually maybe at least 1 meal or 2 meals, we're all together, on the weekend. Mm-hmm. But otherwise there could be 5 of the 9 of us here, or 6.
Or 7.
That's amazing.
How many live here?
9.
He lost count. I think parents really need to take more of the responsibility when it comes to feeding their children and growing them up, being good role models for them. And I know that a lot of the students that I have in school, and I know the school itself, doesn't really take food as a priority. And they kind of, the food that they serve at school is really under par. Mm-hmm. And parents are sending their kids off to school and let the school deal with it. They'll buy the school lunch, they'll be fine, the kids will survive. But I think what you've put out this book, it's a great resource for parents to help get them started in putting them on the path to a healthier lifestyle.
Yeah, there isn't a single parent on the planet who, doesn't want their kids to be healthy. And I think it's a really common question that Julie and I get, which is, how can I get my kids to eat healthier? How can I get them off the mac and cheese and the cruddy pizza that they serve them at school? And it's hard, there is no magic bullet answer to that. And we are dealing with, school systems that are serving, kids terrible foods all day long. And as parents, we feel powerless. We can't control that. So what can we control, and how can we make a shift into, a better way of approaching this that could hopefully instill our children with healthier lifestyle habits that will serve them in the long run? And I think that's what we're trying to address in the book. And I think the route towards that is to really, like Julie said, to kind of pick up where she left off, is to involve them in every aspect of what it means to, purchase, prepare, and enjoy food, taking them to the market, using the market, whether it's the farmer's market or the supermarket or wherever you are, as an opportunity to have a dialogue, to have an educational experience, to have a discussion about why we're choosing these foods and not these foods. What does this food have in it that's better than this food, and why we're not going to choose this food? Everything is an opportunity. And then when you get home, involving them in the preparation, teaching them how to, create easy recipes when they're young, I think is huge. It emotionally connects them to the process. And it also provides some self-esteem. When a young child knows how to make a little dish that they enjoy eating, there's a moment of pride there. And then that's what they're going to want to continue to make. I remember, and Julie tells this story all the time, when our little girls, when Julie taught them how to make chia seed pudding. And then they loved making that. And it's a healthier version of, what would ordinarily be, Jell-O pudding pops or whatever. And then what we saw from that is a greater interest in learning more, and one thing leads to the next, and one thing leads to the next. So, for us, it's not about creating hard and fast rules around what you can eat and you can't eat. We don't do that. All we try to do is empower them. When they go out into the world, whether it's school or a birthday party or their friend's house, we don't tell them what they can and can't eat. We just try to provide them with the tools and the resources to make the best choice. And that doesn't mean they're going to make the right choice all the time, and many times they're not going to. But it's about having the long-term view in mind the whole time. It's less about whether they eat cake at the birthday party, and much more about what they're learning along the way, so that they can cultivate these habits that are going to stick with them, that have staying power, that they can sustain, as they mature into adulthood.
And sorry, I was going to add a little bit to that, just that. And as they go through this process, allowing them to self-regulate and giving them the respect and the kind of the space to make a mistake, or to, one of my daughters is gluten sensitive, and she'll crave pizza dough or something like that, and she'll make a decision, and then she'll have a stomach ache, and so then we'll backtrack. Okay, so you have a stomach ache, so now let's backtrack what happened before that. Well, then some time might go on, and she might be with a friend, and then the urge comes again, and she'll say, Mommy, I really want a piece of that pizza. And then I'll tell her, okay, you remember last time, and you can make that decision. But this time, if you make that decision, you can't come to me to heal you, because, I'm not available for that. So if you eat it, you're on your own. And then she'll likely not make that decision. She'll say, okay, I'm not going to eat it. But at least I'm allowing her to make her own decision. I'm not coming down iron fist and saying, I think you're a bad person because you're eating pizza. That just creates eating disorders, right?
You're teaching them that there are consequences to their choices, and if they choose the wrong choice, they live with the consequence.
Right. And it is their choice to make ultimately, because I'm not going to be with them throughout their entire life. So they start paying attention to how they feel, and they start making a connection between the foods and how they feel. And so, now Mathis is 11. I mean, she's had so many things change. I mean, she's more of the vocal protester in our family, but, it's so interesting. She said to me, just recently, Mom, I used to hate nutritional yeast and now I like it, and Mom, I used to not like Brussels sprouts and now I like it. So I hear her when she says she doesn't like things, or when my kids say they don't like things, and I just go, oh yeah, okay, great. But I don't stop serving them, and I don't go make them a kid meal. So we just have a lot of variety of a lot of things, and, they'll find something to eat. They're not going to starve to death because I didn't feed them chicken nuggets and macaroni and cheese,
Absolutely. And we go through the same thing with our children. When we first stopped, making, like the McCain's French fries or whatever they are. We taught Russell how to make, we make these little crispers where we'll cut the potatoes and toss them in some nice olive oil and put some sea salt on top. And he made them with Adam that day. And the main ingredient, of course, was love. And he was so proud of the fact that he had made them himself. And we had never had a French fry in the house since then. We don't do those very often anymore now because, again, you're finding better options, and then even better options and better options. You're not jumping necessarily. What?
It evolves.
It evolves. And he was so excited, and he took such ownership of being able to make those on his own. And then we interviewed our kids for one of our podcasts a couple of weeks ago, and he talked about eating too many potato chips at a birthday party. And that night he was actually physically sick, like he vomited, and he associates the eating too many chips with that now, and it'll be interesting to see if he makes that same choice again, or if he remembers to keep just a few. But he's really good. He's the older one. He's 6. He's turning 7 soon, and he's really good at saying, is this a healthy choice for me, Mom? Or is there something else that I can eat that's healthier? Or, well, I already went to the birthday party today and I had my cupcake at the birthday party, so I'm not going to have that chocolate-covered strawberry after dinner today, or what it is. And he's really become very mature over time about making choices and thinking about his food. And then we have our daughter.
Is there an age?
That's what it's all about.
Yeah. Do you think there's an age where it's too young to start with this? Like, do you think that because we started doing this when they were like 3 and 5 or whatever, do you think at some point it's going to backfire on us?
No, I think the younger you start, the better. That makes it easy. I mean, we were already, we were midway through some childhood in our cases, so it was very, very different. We had one kind of, son was eating, what we thought was clean meat at the time, turkey and chicken and fish, what right. He used to think was clean meat. And then the other one was more predominantly vegetarian, but he was eating dairy. And then our little girls have never eaten meat, and they've eaten very little dairy, but they did eat dairy when they were littler, like, yogurt or some eggs, organic eggs or something like that. But I think that the earlier you start, the easier, because you can establish some microbial environment in your home, and then it's just a natural way. But I think the key is...
There's so much more great information coming your way, but before we get to that, we wanted to give an extra shout out to tell you we appreciate how much you care. Because of your contributions, no matter how big or small, you've helped us to cover hosting and production costs, as well as give a bright young intern a chance to work with our compassionate company. For those of you who want to help support the show, support learning opportunities for young plant-based students and compassionate causes, you can do so at patreon.com/planttrainers or click the link in the show notes. And now back to the show.
Is not to create hard boundaries and like what you would call violence in a yogic sense around food. So you have to allow people their own journey with it. So, in yoga, with regards to Ayurveda and healing and food, you don't say this food is good for everybody all the time, at all ages, at all, in all regions. It's the question you ask is for whom and when. Is this food good? Well, it depends. For whom and when? What season is it? What stage of life is that person? What kind of constitution do they have? So there's not one prescription. And I think by bringing the whole foods and the plant-based foods into your life and learning to cook these healthy recipes, then being around the table becomes a celebration of life, and you can feel the vitality and experience it. And then if you go to, travel and you decide you're going to, eat a piece of meat or something like that, it's just a contrasting experience to the way that you live your life. And chances are you're going to eat that and go, that wasn't really that great, or I didn't feel that good. So then that gives you another leg of experience to, not do that the next time.
The biggest question that we get is, how do you have time to make all this food, or do you just eat salad all the time? And it couldn't be further from the truth. There's such a good energy and vibe from the food that we eat. We feel so good when we eat it, and there's such a variety and diversity of the foods that we get. People just don't understand, how do you have the time to make this kind of food? Do you have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning? Do you have to spend your whole Sunday packing food for the week?
And oh my God, it's so expensive.
Yeah, that's the other one. It's very expensive.
These are all just ridiculous myths. I mean, basically, when you're dealing with plants close to their natural state, there couldn't be anything more simple. And if you page through our cookbook, you'll notice that 85% of the recipes in the book can be prepared in 30 minutes or less. There's a lot of things going on in our house. We got a lot of people coming in and out of here, a lot of projects happening, and we're just not that, or we're not the people that are packing, making little Tupperware things.
I don't
full
prepare
of food
on Sunday for my week. That's not who I am.
That's never happened once. And Julie doesn't have the bandwidth to be in the kitchen all day. We're doing tons of different things. So it's much more facile than people realize. I think we overcomplicate it because we don't understand it and we're afraid of it. So we project onto it these ideas that when you actually take the time to look at, you realize are unfounded. The same thing goes with the affordability argument and the nutritional deficiency argument. I mean, across the board, in every category, we could talk for hours about all of these things. But I think the takeaway really is that it's really simple. It's simple. Don't overcomplicate it. And, the book is really, this book is, the Plantpower Way is really a welcome mat, for somebody exactly like that, who is coming into it without really, any kind of knowledge base. They're curious. They want their kids to eat healthier. They're tired of feeling lousy, and they're just not sure where to begin. And they're intimidated. And they don't know anybody who's vegan, or they don't really relate to it. And so there's that emotional barrier that's going to prevent them from kind of seeking that out. And so what we wanted to do was present, this lifestyle guide that would make it very accessible, where an average, person, a modern family, can look at the book and, it's not asking anybody to be vegan. It's just saying, look, let's live healthier, and it's cool and it's modern and it's fun. It doesn't have to be that hard, and it's affordable and it's delicious, and the water's warm over here. So dip your toe in, and we'll give you some tools, and hopefully that will empower you and take you on your own journey. And that journey may lead you to becoming, 100% vegan, or maybe even raw, or whatever, that might look like for you. But that's not ours to say. We're just here to try to light a spark, catalyze, somebody's own transformation, and empower them to go out and experience their version of what we have experienced, a version that's going to look very different from our lives and your lives, but will be hopefully, very, sort of transformational for that person.
And I noticed there's some roadmaps in there to different directions. And I also noticed that it wasn't directed at me, that book. It wasn't directed at a plant-based person. It really gave me the feeling that this book is for everybody. Plant-based or not, this book will make you healthier. It will help you go down the right pathway.
It has a lot of tools. Like when you use the word tools, it's an amazing tool and coffee table book that you want everybody to see as you walk in. And the other thing that I picked up on when I was looking at the pictures, and maybe it's because of hearing you guys on the Ritual podcast together, or the conversations that we had when we were out for dinner. When I think of the two of you, I really think about love and relationship a lot. And I've read the words that you wrote in Finding Ultra and the way that you've described Julie, and I know that you have a blended family. You've been through so much in terms of health. The two of you together, you almost lost your house. You had to go pick up your family and live somewhere else. You've been through so many ups and downs that would probably, in this day and age, tear so many families apart, but you seem to have this huge, deep love and connection for each other. And I mean, you renewed your vows, all these things. When I think of you guys, I think about love and relationships. So I was wondering what you can share with us to, kind of help. People are on different paths. Some people are plant-based, some people aren't, some people are completely against it, and their spouse is. How do you keep that connection and that depth, even though you've changed and but you've made that commitment to a partner?
Well, I mean, it all starts. The beginning, middle, and end is a spiritual connection. So, if we had been running patterns that were based on the outward world, like paradigms of what a husband is in a marriage, or what a wife is in a marriage, or what is a respectable bank account for a man, and what is expected. If we were playing against those rules, we would have certainly broken apart. Because of what we went through was a complete, what we call dismantling, which means every aspect of security was removed from ourselves and from our outer reality. And when we were in those very, very intense times, the only things that were working were our family relationships, the relationships we had with each other and our children, and also our creative endeavors. And so nothing else was working except for me and the boys, it was music. And for Mathis and the girls, it was art. And for Rich, it was training and, becoming the athlete that he became. And then actually food took a place as in that creativity as I started to use that medium to create in the kitchen. So it really comes with the awareness that, we're spiritual beings having a human experience, and it changes your priorities of where you're putting your focus. So that's how, it was funny because I do a weekly meditation with my boys and my nephew. We have a meditation group, just the four of us, and we meet weekly. It's a music collective, and we support each other and allow a safe place for us to express whatever we're experiencing in our lives. And the boys were sharing some very real memories of their experience of what they went through with us. The fact that they signed up to go through this transformation with us when we were unable to take them on vacation, unable to pay for, soccer camps or extracurricular things. And sometimes, as shocking as it may seem, often for a period, they went to school with no lunch. So, it was kind of this surreal, weird thing. And, people see us and they can't see that possibility, but that's the truth of what we went through. And the boys so beautifully, actually, it was in the context of, we had a friend who's going through a very, very significant dismantling, and she came over, and the boys actually held space for her and spoke to her about their experience, and spoke to her about how they became more of who they were through this process, and how they wouldn't trade it for anything, and how they discovered what was really important. And, they told this person, well, you may be losing your finances, but even in the midst of that, you have this opportunity right now, and we're sitting with you, and we're sharing our love with you and our support with you. And she just, was extremely emotionally touched by this, of course. But that's what happened through our experience. We became more bonded together because we were in it with this sort of expanded perspective and commitment to discover our authentic hearts, and to live that, against all odds and without compromise.
It's truly inspirational that your boys were able to share that with her and be able to voice that. I mean, you think about other people, you think about how mature somebody is because they're starting a business or what have you, but to really be able to tap into your own emotions and share that with someone at such a young age is, I mean, it's really a tribute to you guys that you're doing a very good job at parenting, and it's very inspirational.
Well, that's sweet.
us.
Thank you. I also say, though, that, throughout everything that we experienced, the people that were okay with it and never judged us and just were, believed in us, it's like the kids, people always say to me, oh, you have 4 kids, that's so much work. It's like they're the ones that always had our backs, that always believed, that always were in for it. They never came to us one day and said, what are you guys doing? You're loser parents, like they just, and now they see the fruits of it. And it's like, we all own it, like Rich Roll and what he is doing in the world, his family and me, we all have a piece of that because we all were part of that, expression of where we're sitting today and how we share.
I can't wait to see what else your children do in the future and how they make a difference in the world.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have a question that was sent to us from Dave from Calgary, and he wanted to know what you guys thought about this. He said, what are 2 to 3 immediate things or steps can I do to improve my health? And I don't know what state of health he's in, but let's just say he's the average person. What are 2 or 3 things that somebody, an average person, can do immediately to change their life, to change their health?
I can give you 3 right now that all can be accomplished in the first hour and a half of waking up in the morning. Yeah. The first thing would be to invert your idea of what breakfast is, and that's something that we talk a lot about in the book. We have a whole section about rethinking breakfast. And I always encourage people to, adopt this idea of drinking a salad for breakfast, which seems strange because you'd never sit down and eat a salad for breakfast. But to start your day with a green smoothie, that basically uses a foundation of dark leafy greens and, fresh, raw vegetables and fruits in the morning, I think is an underestimated transformational tool. I think it's once you experience that and you can feel the energy coming into your body, that kind of sets the stage for you to make better decisions throughout the day and hopefully encourages you to to extend your reach into other areas of health. Plus, I think it helps cultivate a healthier gut microbial ecology that then impacts cravings. There's all sorts of things that come from that. So that's one thing I always say to people. It's like, I'm not asking you to be vegan. I'm not even asking you to change what you eat for lunch or dinner. Just start your day with a green smoothie instead of waffles, and see what that does. So that's the first thing. The second thing I would say is, and this is also at the beginning of the day, can be before the green smoothie, and that's to engage in some form of mindfulness practice in the morning before you start your day. That can take the form of a formal meditation practice for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or 20 minutes, or it can just be taking a moment, while you're lying in bed and coming awake to, take a deep inhale and exhale and settle your mind on something that you're grateful for, like the beautiful way that you opened up this podcast, whatever it is that works for you, but to put a priority on that as a precedent for beginning your day, I think can be powerful and transformative. And then the third thing is to move your body. It doesn't have to be training for an Ironman or an Ultraman. If all you can do is go out and walk for 10 minutes, I think that's a victory. And again, it's like what Julie said earlier, is for whom and when. It's like everybody's going to be different. Not everybody's a runner. There's a lot of people that can't stand running. I always encourage people to figure out some kind of healthy movement activity that they enjoy. Because again, it goes back to sustainability. Are you going to be doing this 6 months from now, 1 year from now? So find something that you enjoy that involves engaging your body in a physical way and use that as something that you can begin your day with. And if you can't, because we're busy and, you can't always do that in the morning and you can't always wake up early enough or what have you, to find a way to build that into your daily routine and to make a priority of it. It's not, I don't think that it's acceptable to say I don't have time, because I think everybody has time. It's a question of priorities. So we're not talking about an 8-hour bike ride, even if it's just 20 minutes of doing something. I think everybody can squeeze that in if it's important enough to you.
I know that both of Shush and I have both been meditating in the morning and the night, and that's been a real game changer for both of us. And we've also been journaling, and that's been a game changer. And like you mentioned, getting moving is so important. And just because I'm training for triathlon doesn't mean everybody else has to be training for triathlon. You said a 10-minute walk, and that's awesome. I think walking, anybody could walk, right? Just about anybody. And it's available all the time. So why not do it? And another thing is that Shush had a hard time getting up early. And recently she started getting up earlier. I mean, she's at 6 now, and that's not 4 a.m. like you, Julie.
Got up at 5:30 this morning.
5:30. See, so, and it's getting easier and easier as you do it, right?
It is. And you've got to decide. You don't have to just say, oh, I should do it. You've got to decide that it's important to you. So I've been getting up at 6 to be able to do some meditation, to do some journal writing, and to have my first water with lemon in the morning, and try to get a little bit of social media out of the way so that my morning's clear, so that I could really concentrate on what it is that I'm doing. And I found that wasn't early enough, because by the time I'm done washing up, and I've learned that I need to move a little bit before I get into my meditation. So I need to do, a few yoga poses or some stretching first. So 6 o'clock just wasn't cutting it, and I just set the alarm, and that's what I do. I used to just press snooze and snooze and snooze, and now I'm just doing it. You have to want to do it. You can't trick yourself.
It's got to be a priority.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yep, so true.
And I get up really early to do my training, and I make sure to get up even earlier so that I have enough time to do my meditation and to drink my water with apple cider vinegar, which tastes awful. I don't know how you like that, Rich, but I don't like the taste of it.
I never said I liked it.
But I do
for you.
I do. Some days I do that. Some days I'll do with water, lemon, and cayenne pepper. I mix it up. But I feel great after I have it. And then I get my workout in, and I start my day when my kids wake up, and it's awesome.
Well, that's it. If somebody starts by just waking up 10 minutes earlier to do, one form of exercise or one form of meditation, the benefits you're going to feel throughout the day are so worth it. That 10 minutes of sleep that you're missing might become 15, might become 25, but the feeling that you have throughout the rest of the day and how you're able to accomplish your tasks throughout the rest of the day is really a really great trade-off.
Absolutely. So I know our time is pretty much up. I don't want to keep you guys. I know you're busy. But I want to thank you so much, obviously, for coming on the show. And before we leave you, I also want to mention that I watched the book trailer, the video that you put together, and that was awesome. It's like, my question is, when are you guys putting together a movie? Like, when is the Rich Roll, Julie Piatt family documentary coming out? Because it seems like it would be the next step in the progression. Is it in the works?
Yeah, I mean, there's no.
There's no
Thank
plan.
you for that.
Are they silent because they haven't thought of it, or because they don't want to leak any secrets?
Yeah, no. There's nothing going on with that. I mean, we're open to any new and interesting ways of sharing the message, and whether it's a podcast or a little short video or a tweet or whatever it is. These are all just different kinds of ways of communicating, and so we'll see what comes up. It's not like anyone's approached us to do a documentary, and I think it would be interesting to work more in a visual medium, because that's something that we haven't done quite that much of. And so I don't know.
So thanks for that vision.
Thank you for the encouragement.
It's great. So the Plantpower Way, whole food, plant-based recipes and guidance for the whole family. That's the title of the book. Why don't you tell people where they could find it, what they should be doing as of now, because the book's being released April 28th. So there's lots of things they could be doing. So why don't you share with everyone what we could do?
Yeah, absolutely. So the book comes out April 28th, and right now it's available for pre-order, and we're giving away a bunch of cool gifts and giveaways, $300,000 worth of really cool gifts and giveaways to everybody who pre-orders the book. There's information about that at richroll.com. And you can basically pre-order it anywhere on Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, iTunes, all those kind of cool places are all great. But one of the things that we're encouraging people to do that are interested in the book and kind of what we're doing is to visit your local independent bookseller and try to pre-order it through them. It's going to be cheaper on Amazon. It's certainly easier. And we love Amazon, and that's all great. But I also think it's important and consistent with the message message that we're trying to put out to kind of support your local economy. It's sort of like, eat local, but you can also support your local businesses. And I think independent bookstores are, an important part of every town. And, the idea that you could go into one in your town and say, hey, I love what Rich and Julie are doing. They got this book coming out. Not only do I want to pre-order it, but you should take a look at this and consider stocking it because it's going to be huge, you guys. So anyway, richroll.com, to answer your question, richroll.com has all the information. We're also doing this Thunderclap campaign, which is an online crowdsourcing platform whereby people donate social media posts in support of the Plantpower Way and kind of the plant-based movement. And we're running contests around that right now. So, for example, this week we're giving away 2 Vitamix blenders and 5 free annual memberships to Headspace, which is a meditation app. And we're selecting the winners from the people that have joined our Thunderclap campaign. So that's, we're running another contest next week around Omega Juicers. We're going to be giving away a couple of those. So we're just trying to have fun with this, kind of window of opportunity that we're in right now, just before the book comes out, to kind of honor everybody who's taken this journey with us, to give back and say, not only do we're excited to present you with this book, but we have all this other cool stuff from all these partner companies who like what we're doing, that we like supporting, and it's our way of saying thank you and giving back.
Amazing. It's really an inspiration. I'm so grateful again to have you guys on the show, and you're such great role models, not only for me, but for so many people out there. And on behalf of them, I thank you again. I can't wait to see you guys again. I hope you're going to be back in Toronto for the Veg Fest so we can catch up. And I guess we'll talk to you very shortly.
I appreciate you guys wanting to have us on. So super nice of you, and thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
Problem.
And
have a good evening. Yes. Have a good evening. It's almost
you too, you guys.
Yeah.
Keep doing the great work, and so happy everything's going well with your family.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much.
Thanks
Be
so
well.
much.
We'll talk soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Okay,
All
we'll
right.
see you soon.
Okay, bye you
Peace.
guys. Peace. Plants.
Namaste.
Thank you all so much for listening to this edition of the Plant Trainers Podcast. We want to make sure that you subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, or any other podcasting platform.
We really appreciate the feedback we receive from you. Every time we get a 5-star rating or review on iTunes from one of our fans, it really helps other people find us, just like you did.
Thanks so much to our patrons. To become a patron, visit us at patreon.com/planttrainers. Even supporting us with $1 really makes a difference in the quality of the show.
And don't forget to connect with us on Instagram and Twitter. Our handle is @PlantTrainers. Like Plant Trainers on Facebook, join our newsletter, and check out our website at planttrainers.com for awesome recipes, a list of our services, and of course, our latest podcast.
We encourage you to email your questions to info@planttrainers.com so that we can help you improve your quality of life through nutrition and fitness.
So we hope we've inspired you today. Join us again next time, and have a healthy day. Or is that too corny?
It's a little cheesy.